Have you ever stopped to think that money can listen to you? It may sound crazy, but there's a simple yet powerful spiritual law that makes money obey your voice. And those who understand this secret will never again be in trouble. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the commandment that completely changes how money reacts to your presence. After hearing this, you'll understand why some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, while others struggle their entire lives and remain stuck in scarcity. This video is not about luck. It's about spiritual authority. It's about activating a force that's already within you, but that may have been silenced by years of fear, doubt, and negative phrases like, "I don't have it. It's hard." Money disappears quickly. Starting today, you will learn to command, not ask. You will discover that money is a living energy, responding to the voice of those who speak with faith and conviction. Imagine waking up and realizing that the bills that once kept you awake at night are now easily paid. Imagine feeling the security of knowing that money flows to you because you've learned the commandment that makes it obey you. This is what you'll understand now, the secret that transforms scarcity into prosperity, lack into abundance, and fear into power. Get ready, because what you're about to hear could be the game changer in your financial life. And when you apply it, money will have no choice. He will begin to obey your voice. Now you understand why money seemed to be running away from you, and you also know the commandment that makes it obey your voice. This knowledge has real power. It changes mindset, energy, and results. Those who apply what they've just learned begin to see doors opening, debts being resolved, and opportunities appearing where they least expect it. It's the beginning of a new phase of prosperity, and it begins when you decide to act. So, show gratitude for this awakening. Like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving teachings that put you in control of your financial life. Today, money heard your voice, and from now on, it will continue to do so. Have you ever had that feeling that, no matter how hard you try, money seems to slip through your fingers, as if something invisible were blocking the flow of prosperity in your life? Maybe you even think you're doing everything right. You work hard, save when you can, try to keep your head up, even when the budget is tight, but the money never adds up, or worse, never arrives. And that's where many people get stuck, because they believe the only way to change this is to work harder, sacrifice more, trying to hold on to what little they have. But no one ever told you that there's a real, invisible force already at work in your life. And the worst part is that it obeys exactly what you say every day, without you even realizing it. This force has a name. It's a spiritual law that governs everything around you, including money. And, yes, it responds to your voice. This is where the key turns, because most people use this law against themselves all the time and don't even know it. They wake up saying, "The money is gone. I don't have any. I never have any left." And the universe, like a faithful servant, says, "Understood." It doesn't argue with you, it simply delivers what you firmly affirm. It's like a well-trained employee who only follows orders. And then, without realizing it, you become your own blockage. Life starts to go in circles. Bills come in, money goes out. Nothing is left, everything stops, and you feel like you're spinning but stuck in the same place. Sound familiar? Now take a deep breath and pay attention to this, because here comes the thing that can change your relationship with money forever. There is a spiritual law that acts like a secret code of abundance. This law responds to the vibration of the words that come out of your mouth with emotion and certainty. And when you understand that what you say is shaping your reality, especially your financial one, you stop repeating tragedy and start declaring solutions. You stop telling the story of scarcity and start writing a new narrative of prosperity. Because money doesn't come through physical effort alone. It comes through energetic permission. And your voice, when aligned with faith and clarity, is the greatest signal of permission you can emit. And there's nothing to do with magic or fancy self-help here. It's simple, straightforward, and it works. What you say with conviction, the universe understands as order. And that's why people who have learned to use this law to their advantage experience situations that seem like coincidences, but aren't. It's that unexpected promotion, money that comes in out of nowhere, a debt that's resolved, a sale that happens when you'd already given up hope. This isn't chance. This is a response. It's a reaction to an invisible cause, the power of words, fueled by faith. And, look, many people will hear this and think, Oh, but just saying it makes the money appear. Of course not. Repeating empty words isn't enough. The secret lies in the way you speak, in the feeling behind what you say. Because this law doesn't respond to the mouth, it responds to the heart. If you say, I am prosperous, but inside you feel fear, insecurity, despair, what will be obeyed is the emotion, not the phrase. Emotion always wins. So what you need to understand, and truly understand, not just here, is that this invisible law only begins to work in your favor when what comes out of your mouth is in tune with what you feel and believe to be true. It's like reprogramming a command. As long as you speak with fear, money will fear you. As long as you speak with doubt, money will doubt that you know how to handle it. But when you speak with authority, with truth, with the firmness of someone who understands its value, money responds. And responds quickly. The vast majority of people speak like victims. But the turning point begins when you decide to speak with authority. And then money recognizes this authority and moves toward you. Not because you shouted, but because you finally gave a clear, coherent order, aligned with the right energy. That's why so many people who follow the right teachings begin to see changes within the first few weeks. It's not a cheap miracle, it's a repositioning. When you stop begging and start ordering, the universe reorganizes everything. You don't need to chase money. You need to know how to position yourself so it comes to you. And that starts now when you choose what you'll continue to say from now on. And speaking of which, tell me in the comments which phrase best represents your new financial reality. Right. I am the voice of prosperity. To firmly establish this command in your mind, in your field, and in your life. Don't underestimate the power of this. It's simple, but powerful, and you will feel it. Now, pay attention to what comes next, because so far you've understood that money responds to your voice. But there's one detail that completely changes the speed and intensity of this response, and that's what you need to know now. Now that you understand that money responds to your voice, it's time to delve into something that changes everything. The spoken word. And not just any word. I'm talking about the word that comes out of your mouth with intention, emotion, and energy. This word has the power to open paths or block everything. And that's precisely why so many people repeat positive affirmations and see no change, because it's not enough to repeat pre-packaged phrases as if reading a prescription. The word only creates when accompanied by the right vibration. If your mouth says, I am prosperous, but your mind is full of doubt and your heart is heavy with fear, the command isn't recognized. The energy that will be sent is fear. And guess what you attract? More situations that confirm this. Insecurity. That's why some people talk all day about abundance and live in poverty, because they haven't understood that the universe responds to the whole package. What you think, what you feel, and what you say. You can't lie to this law. The word itself is powerful, but it alone doesn't hold the process back. Thought gives form, emotion gives strength, and words give direction. A thought alone is like an idea passing through your head. An emotion alone is just an isolated feeling. But when you think clearly, feel with faith, and speak with authority, it becomes an energetic explosion that the universe captures instantly. It's like turning on a headlight in the dark. What was stagnant begins to move. What was blocked begins to flow. Because now there's a clear order. There's a direction, and most importantly, there's an energetic signature that says, this is real for me. But most people don't realize they spend their entire day issuing destructive commands. They wake up saying, what a tough day. Look at their statement and say, oh my God, it's not going to work. Go to the grocery store and blurt out, everything's expensive. It's impossible to live like this. Each of these phrases is a request. It's a password. And the universe obediently delivers what you asked for. Not because it's cruel, but because it's precise. It doesn't argue. It replicates. So, when you understand this, you stop playing with words. You start speaking like someone who knows what they're doing. Because now you do. You start using speech as a tool for creation, not as an escape valve for despair. And you don't have to be perfect for this to work. You don't need to become a monk or memorize complicated phrases. You just need to align what you think, feel, and say. This alone puts you on a level few people reach. And do you know why? Because it takes work to reprogram what's been repeated for years. But it's this work that changes your life. It's what transforms your bank account. And more than that, it transforms your relationship with money, with time, with yourself. You stop chasing and start attracting, because now you're aligned. And when everything inside you is speaking the same language, the universe hears you loud and clear. Now think about it. How many times have you cancelled your own blessing with your mouth? How many times have you been about to close a deal, resolve a situation, and blurted out, "Oh, but it's going to go wrong," or "This is too good to be"? True, that's right. Spoken doubt is a break in the middle of acceleration. And the worst part, then we blame life, blame the government, blame bad luck. But the truth is, we sabotage ourselves with small phrases, with thrown words, with impulsive outbursts. The universe doesn't understand it was a joke. It understands what you truly feel. And so, the time has come for you to take responsibility for what comes out of your mouth. Because every word you say is creating, fueling, or destroying realities. And before you think this is too difficult, breathe. No one changes everything overnight. But you can start now with small choices. Instead of saying, "I'm broke," say, "My wealth is under construction." Instead of complaining about the bill, be grateful for the opportunity to honor a commitment. Replace "This never works" with "I'm learning how to make it work." These small shifts in language create waves, and these waves change your vibration, and your vibration changes what reaches you. Over time, you'll see that even the people around you begin to change, because your energy changes, and what you attract changes too. Tell me something. What phrase do you find yourself repeating the most without realizing it? The one that seems harmless, but is sabotaging your results? Write the word here in the comments. Reschedule. If you've felt the need to change the mental and emotional record you've been playing until now, this will help you commit to change. And I'll tell you, whoever decides to reprogram has already taken the first step toward financial freedom, because money is just a reflection. It's neither the problem nor the solution. It only responds. And now, knowing this, you're in control. But there's still one detail that most people overlook. A secret that makes this combination of thought, emotion, and words work quickly or slowly. And it has nothing to do with technique or number of sentences, but with something much deeper, something that could be sabotaging everything without you even realizing it. Now that you understand how thought, emotion, and words work together to move the energy of money, we need to address a crucial point. Why, even knowing all this, do so many people remain stuck in the same place? The answer lies in an invisible trap that almost everyone falls into, the cycle of lack. This cycle is treacherous because it doesn't start externally. It's born within. People enter this loop when they become accustomed to scarcity, when they normalize hardship, when they repeat every day that life is tight, that everything is difficult, that there's no way out. And then, without realizing it, they begin to live in function of lack. They wake up thinking about what they don't have, spend the day trying to survive with what's left, and go to sleep worrying about what they'll lack tomorrow. This becomes routine, and worse, it becomes their identity. They no longer say, "I'm going through a phase." They say, "I'm just like this." And that's when the cycle of lack takes hold. It's like software running in the back of your mind, constantly repeating that it's not possible, that there isn't enough, that it's difficult. And life obeys. Everything becomes small. Opportunities don't appear. Deals don't close. Dreams become shelved plans. Not because the person is unlucky, but because their vibration is stuck in a pattern of scarcity. And this pattern feeds back. The more you talk about lack, the more you feel. The more you feel, the more you attract. And the more you attract, the more you believe life is just like that. It becomes a prison without bars. You look around and only see people going through the same thing. You think it's normal, but it's not. Breaking this cycle isn't about winning the lottery or waiting for a miracle to fall from the sky. It's about breaking the pattern. And that starts with a decision. Stop reacting to lack and start affirming abundance, even if it's not yet visible. Because abundance doesn't begin when money arrives. It begins when you shift your focus. While you only see what you don't have, you're sowing scarcity. Now, when you start being grateful even for the little, declaring that enough is already arriving, affirming that the flow is moving, you shift the field, and the field responds. Life begins to give small signs. Delays are resolved, ideas appear, new people cross your path. Nothing happens by chance. It's the cycle changing. But there's a detail here that few people have the courage to admit. Often people cling to lack because it's all they know. They've learned that money only comes with hard work, that those who have a lot are greedy, that wealth isn't for good people. And these beliefs hold prosperity back tightly, because deep down there's fear involved, fear of change, fear of growth, fear of not deserving it, and then lack becomes a shield. People protect themselves behind the excuse that it's hard for everyone. But you're here now precisely because you know you can do more, that you weren't made to live counting pennies, nor to chase after the basics. And when you become aware of this, everything changes. You stop reinforcing the lack with your words, thoughts, and actions. You start treating money as an ally, not an enemy. You stop empowering the bill that arrived and start empowering the response you're about to release with your voice, because the cycle only continues if you feed it. When you stop, it breaks. It may not seem like it at first, but your choice to change the frequency of what you say, think, and feel is already the first break. And every time you choose to speak of possibilities instead of problems, you're telling the universe, I'm ready for more. Now answer me honestly, do you feel that this cycle of lack is still active within you? Write the word here in the comments, break. If you've decided that this cycle ends today, that word carries weight. It marks the end of one pattern and the beginning of another. And when you write that, you're not just commenting on a video. You're stamping a new decision on your energetic field, and that has a real impact. But hey, there's one thing almost no one tells you about. Sometimes, even after starting to change their words, thoughts, and even emotions, the person freezes again. They take 2 steps forward, and then suddenly return to the same place. It feels like sabotage. And do you know why? Because there's something hidden back there, a memory, a trauma, a belief that acts in silence, nullifying everything. And that's what we're going to talk about now. The time has come to talk about something that seems strange to many people, but is a game changer for those who truly want to escape scarcity and live in abundance. Talking to money. That's right, talking to it as if it were a person. And before you think this is crazy, think with me. You talk to a plant, and it grows. You talk to an animal, and it responds. You talk to a child, and it feels. Why wouldn't money, which is energy in motion, respond too? The big turning point happens when you stop treating money as an enemy or as something distant and start communicating with it as if it were a true partner, because that's what it is. Only no one ever taught you this. On the contrary, they taught you fear, shame, and guilt. They taught you to say, money doesn't bring happiness. Money corrupts. Those who have money are arrogant. And then you built a relationship of rejection with what you claimed to want. How can you attract something you've learned to repel? Talking to money is more than a practice. It's a mindset shift. It's recognizing that money isn't a punishment or a random blessing. It's a reflection. And it reflects above all how you relate to it. If you complain about it, it moves away. If you're grateful for it, it moves closer. If you treat it as scarce, it will seem increasingly rare. But if you talk to it as an ally, as someone who walks with you, who works alongside you, who supports you in your decisions, then the frequency shifts, the energy shifts, and money starts to respond in a completely different way. You realize it's not a problem, it's a mirror, and then you stop fighting it and start cooperating with its energy. And I know at first it seems forced, it seems silly, but it's not. It's powerful, because when you talk to money, you're retraining your mind, reprogramming your emotional field, repositioning your energy. And that's what attracts. It's not the size of your bank account, it's the value of your vibration. Talking to money is declaring, I am the master of my financial life. I have control over this area of my life. I am no longer a slave to debt, fear, or scarcity. It's you taking the lead and making it clear, money, I respect you, I welcome you, and now I invite you to walk with me with lightness, freedom, and purpose. Some people think this is nonsense, but that same person complains to themselves when the bill arrives, murmurs when they see the price of things, and curses money when it disappears. This is also talking to money, but in the wrong way. It's a conversation filled with fear, anger, and frustration. And then, guess what happens? Money feels it, because every word carries energy, and money moves in the direction of what you emit. It likes gratitude, joy, and respect. It dislikes drama, despair, or heaviness. And the lighter your relationship with it, the closer it. will draw to you. This isn't just talk, it's energetic reality. And when you change this relationship, you change your financial life in a way that's irreversible. Do you know something powerful you can do? Every day, set aside 5 minutes to be grateful for the money you have, even if it's little, and talk to it like you would talk to a friend. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for flowing. Thank you for coming back multiplied. You are welcome in my life. And observe. Small changes begin to emerge. Sometimes it's an unexpected discount, a cheaper purchase, a sale that happens, a payment you thought would be late that arrives. These things are not coincidences. They are answers. And the more you reinforce this positive conversation, the more money will recognize you as someone ready to receive it. And look, take advantage of this moment now and comment here the word welcome. If you feel like you need to build a new relationship with money, talk about it to solidify this new beginning. Money doesn't have to be a burden, a demand, or a reason for arguments. It can be light, present, and fluid, but it all starts with how you talk to it. And yes, it listens, but there's a hidden secret that many people overlook. There's no point in talking to money if deep down you're still carrying past financial hurts, traumas from old debts, fears that make you sabotage everything when it starts to arrive. And that's what you need to understand now. Once you start talking to money, the relationship changes. It stops being a burden and starts behaving like a partner. But there's still one thing that determines whether it will continue to obey or, at some point, stop responding. And that thing is what we call here the commandment of divine obedience. It's not a religious commandment in the traditional sense of the word. It's a spiritual order, an invisible but extremely real principle that determines whether your voice will be obeyed or ignored by the energy field. Tao of prosperity. And look, few people talk about this because it demands truth, it demands responsibility, and most still want magic, shortcuts, miracles without a process. But here, we're talking about true transformation. And to achieve that, you need to understand this. Money obeys those who know how to command. And command, in this case, isn't about shouting or beating your chest. It's about aligning words, emotions, thoughts, and actions. That's right. The commandment is only obeyed when you act in accordance with what you declare. There's no point in saying you trust and then continuing to sabotage yourself. There's no point in affirming prosperity and then continuing to harbor fear. There's no point in declaring faith and then continuing to doubt every time something gets out of your control. Money is energy, but it's also movement. It needs direction, and you are responsible for giving it that direction. When you declare something with faith and act as if it were already true, the universe understands that you are in a state of readiness. This is spiritual authority. This is command. And this is where the commandment comes in. Everything you affirm with faith, feel to be true, and act accordingly will be obeyed. But when you say one thing and do another, the field freezes because conflict arises, and conflicting energy doesn't flow. Let me give you a clear example. A person claims, "I'm prosperous," but when they go to pay a bill, they complain, grumble, and get angry. There you go, the command is broken. The field receives two opposing signals, one saying, "I have," the other saying, "I'm losing." Result? Nothing happens, or worse, scarcity increases. The command is simple, but it requires firmness. Either you align everything with your new reality, or you continue sending confusing messages to the universe. And this isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. You don't need to ever be afraid again, never feel insecure again. But you need to be conscious and attentive so as not to let these emotions dominate your vibration. The secret is to take control. Feeling afraid? Correct it immediately. Thought something stupid? Reprogram it. Said something negative? Cancel it with affirmation. It's like driving a car. Sometimes you skid, but if you know where you're going, you correct your course and keep going. Most people get stuck because they think they made a mistake once and lost everything. They didn't. But you need to take responsibility and adjust, because the divine command responds to your attitude. It doesn't just look at what you say, it observes who you are being. When you position yourself as someone who trusts, even without seeing the money yet, you show that you're ready. And money senses this. It doesn't arrive because you're desperate. It arrives because you're aligned. Its energy flows where there's order, and order comes from your firm faith. So, instead of asking, "When will it happen?" start, affirming it's already happening. Instead of acting like someone begging, behave like someone who knows, because energy obedience is activated by certainty, and this certainty doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. It comes from the place where you've decided you deserve it, that you can, that you're capable, that you're prepared. Now, look at your life and observe. In which areas do you still act like you doubt what you say? What behaviors of yours still clash with your new, prosperous identity? Comment here. Align. If you understand that this coherence between what you say, feel, and do is what determines whether money will obey you or not, discuss this truthfully. This will help you establish a new stance in your field. And remember, money doesn't respond to haste, it responds to coherence. But there's a very important point here that few people have the courage to address. Sometimes a person is doing everything right, speaking with faith, feeling abundance, acting courageously, but the money still takes a while to arrive. And then the doubt, the fatigue, the frustration set in. It seems like nothing is working. But what no one explained to you is that there's a time between the order and the manifestation. And what you do during that time is what determines whether the blessing will arrive or be cancelled along the way. So you've made it this far. You've already understood that money responds to your voice. You've learned to speak to it, to align your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And now comes the final point, the command that seals it all, what I call the definitive order: multiply. This is the word that activates the harvesting process. After clearing your mind, reorganizing your speech, breaking the cycle of lack, and aligning everything within you, it's time to give the most powerful command anyone can give when they are aware of their own creative power. Because yes, you have the authority to do so, but this authority must be exercised with firm faith and without hesitation. You're no longer asking, you're deciding. You're no longer testing, you're decreeing. And when you speak with this kind of energy, money has no choice but to obey. This command, multiply, is not a magic phrase. It's a declaration that you've broken with the scarcity mindset and decided to live in a new direction, that of growth, expansion, and natural abundance. It's you saying, with all the clarity in the world, that what comes to you will no longer stop, will no longer slip through your fingers, will no longer mysteriously disappear. It will grow, it will increase, it will multiply, because now you understand that multiplication doesn't come only from physical effort. It comes from your vibration, your consciousness, your words spoken with conviction. And it's not about saying it once and that's it. It's about making this command part of your identity. Every money that comes in, no matter how small, you bless and declare, multiply. Every sale, every commission, every gift, every payment received, you reinforce the command. You teach your field that nothing is small anymore, that nothing is just enough. Now everything that arrives has a mission to grow in your hands. And this is the difference between those who merely receive and those who manifest abundance, because the former gives thanks and spends, the latter gives thanks and commands, return multiplied. And that changes everything. But there's a detail here that almost no one notices. When you give this order with faith, you activate an automatic response from the universe. But for this response to come, you need to sustain the energy of the harvest. Some people plant with faith, water with hope. But when it's time to harvest, they doubt, they question, they retreat, and in this retreat, they lose the momentum that was coming. Therefore, now that you understand everything, it's essential that you remain firm in your command. Don't think, but what if? So it doesn't work? Or is it really real? That's the kind of thinking that breaks the chain. You've already given the order. Now sustain it. And sustaining isn't about repeating things in desperation. Sustaining is acting like someone who knows the money is already coming, already multiplying, already opening paths. Sustaining is stopping doubts halfway through. It's keeping moving, even when there's no sign yet, because that's the test. Multiplication begins in the invisible, and you need to keep the field clear until the visible manifests. When you sustain, life sustains with you. When you hold the energy, the universe holds the flow, and then you start to see money behaving differently. It comes more easily. It comes more frequently. It comes from unexpected sources. Because you stopped chasing and started taking charge. Now you understand why the money wasn't coming. And you've also discovered the commandment that makes it obey your voice. This content gave you the right tools to stop chasing and start commanding. consciously, firmly, and in alignment. You felt the difference. Your mind is no longer the same. Your vibration has already begun to shift. And most powerfully, now you know exactly what to say, what to feel, and how to act to make the money respond. This knowledge has real value, and that's why it needs to continue circulating. By liking this video and subscribing to the channel, you help others who are also trapped in the cycle of lack see a way out. This is the kind of truth that transforms. And to seal this new phase, comment here, multiply to activate this command in your field. Now, hold on tight, because the next video will reveal the invisible error that causes many people to lose everything after they begin to prosper. If you want to keep multiplication alive, what follows is essential.